All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for making the time. For those who don't know me, I'm Gordon Driscoll. I'm the CEO over here at ReSpark. I'm here with Courtney, our head of product, and wanted to spend some time for a tour of what's new on the ReSpark platform. Obviously, over the last couple months, given the merger between GreedSpark and Rematter to form ReSpark, when we came together, the whole point was that we wanted to build the best platform that runs every part of the yard well. And since then, we've in addition to putting a lot of resources into both products, have put a lot of resources into building on the kind of consolidated ReSpark product. We haven't necessarily done a great job at marketing all these new features to our entire customer base, based on what work we've already done. So today is hopefully a refresher for a lot of folks on the call, and a look under the hood of what we've shipped so far, what we're building right now, and where this is going overall. So the format should hopefully be relatively straightforward. Court and I will trade off on a couple different agenda items. We'll spend hopefully most of the time in the actual product rather than the slides, and then we'll have about 5 to 10 minutes at the end for Q&A. Just as a quick reminder, there is a Q&A function in this webinar. So feel free to use the Q&A function. We'll be monitoring that throughout. You can also throw things in the chat function too. So quickly to get started, let's talk about the agenda real quick. So first is going to be a quick recap of again why we're sitting here, why the combination, at least from our perspective, mattered back in April, and where we're spending our resources, not only over the last kind of 3 months, but this quarter as well. That's what Courtney will be walking through. Number two is our agentic suite, right? How we're putting AI to work. It's obviously a very hot button topic throughout all of technology, and where we've been spending a lot of resources on. So we'll want to spend most of the time there to discuss the kind of 4 agents that are in production on the ReSpark platform today. Number three is going to be the general ledger. We've obviously put a lot of resources into getting a consolidated general ledger and effectively your books inside of the platform. If you haven't seen our webinar last month on both our finance agent and the integrated general ledger, this will be a great way to get up to speed. And then again, where this is headed towards the end of the webinar, in addition to open Q&A. So without further ado, let's start with the business and kind of what it means for both the industry, broadly speaking, and our platform. Two pieces is going to be centered around again why the combination matters, and what we've been able to do as a combined business, in addition to where we're actually putting the overall resources. So again, why do we do this in the first place, right? And again, I'll be quick on this because I think a lot of folks have already heard the overall strategy, but really at the end of the day, GreedSpark and Rematter combined to deliver what independently neither business could. And you can see a summary of what we're now able to achieve on the page right here. Number one really is the kind of best of both products, right? Both businesses were relatively similar. I'm sure many folks on the call checked out both of them previously before making a decision. But at the end of the day, we approached problems similarly in some respects and in slightly different ways in other respects. The idea is to bring the best of both worlds into one consolidated product. Number two is obviously service, right? Software is only good or only as good as the service behind it. And what we wanted to make sure was that all of our customers are fully supported, not just now, but as we continue to grow and scale. Number three is really about innovation, right? There's always a daily trade-off, and I'm sure many of you feel it, hopefully not on a day-to-day basis, but week to week or month to month. And that trade-off is between innovation and core platform depth. Given the combined business, given the scale that we have, the goal is to really dual track those so we can support all of our customers with fine-grained workflow depth and configurability that all of our customers need, many of which themes we will touch on during the roadmap spotlight, in addition to innovation, right? Moving forward different AI initiatives or pushing the boundaries of what a software platform like this can do, and frankly, what you should expect from your software partner in 2026. And obviously AI, right? Again, it's been in the news in a lot of different places. Folks are using it in a number of different ways, and everyone is kind of on their own, learning or a adoption curve with AI. And we really see this as an accelerant into the next chapter of what software can do in this industry by combining forces and tackling this together. So I'll flip into the kind of product roadmap to bring some of these to life. And Court, I will flip it over to you.
Yeah, sounds good. So thanks for the tee up here. There's tons of information that we could go over from things that happened, late Q2, right after the merger, all the way through where we are in Q3 now. We could probably spend a whole additional webinar just listing out all of the features that we've pushed out. So we've chosen a couple on this slide and then some more on the next one to focus on some of the high points and some of the more interesting pieces. So the first section here covers operational depth. We've gotten notifications, we've got workflows and approvals. Some of these are works in progress. Some of these you've probably already seen in your environment as they've started to come out, notifications being the big one. You can, set up rules in your settings and you get to see when other people are doing things in the application. So the communication happens a lot more asynchronously. And then workflows and approvals are the next step with all of this. So multi-step notifications when somebody notifies me. When I get notified that this happens, I get to do something else automatically. Approvals for pricing, payments, adjustments, pretty much anything that you wanted a second gate of permission on, currently in progress and really excited to get that one out to all of our users. The second piece kind of layers off of this to a certain degree, our custom document engine. So another area where you want to be able to have documents that come from specific workflows. Maybe you've recently checked out our bookings segment and you know that different bookings based off of the country that you're shipping material to requires different documentation. So the custom document engine really gives the flexibility and puts it in your hands to make sure that any single document that you could possibly need to send for whatever reason, whether it's because you like to print something out at your yard and have people sign it for proof of material that they dropped off, or if it's something that a customs agent requires, all of those different varieties are supported with our document engine. And then two of the more exciting pieces tagging onto that AI piece, we have our next two agents, our inventory agent and our exports agent. So our inventory agent is pretty much, in my opinion, going to be everybody's best friend. Inventory agent is going to do a couple of different things. One of the things that it does already is walks you through what's going on in your inventory. So yards are moving incredibly quickly, and inventory management is something that ReSpark helps you not get delayed on in order to continue to ship out material. So you might be familiar with our negative inventory module. A really great example of what the inventory agent can do is help you diagnose your negative inventory. So not only can it help you fix and make sure that your values look correct currently, but it can also give you guidance on why inventory went negative in the first place. And if you want to put any best practices in play as a result of what it tells you, it's very custom towards what happened at your yard to cause those negatives. It's also going to help you with month-end close. So different yards have different functions about what they're doing as they close out their month. It'll help you make checklists, run through everything, make sure you don't miss any steps, all the way up to that locking your period to make sure that everything is all set and that you're not going to see any changes in the future. That one is in a much more early access state right now. And same with our exports agent. So the exports agent tags onto those booking sections that some of you may have checked out recently. The first piece of our exports agent is very similar to parts of our operations agent and commercial agents. So it takes the documentation that you're having to track from different systems, the things that you get back from those forwarders, and lets you upload it into the booking section of ReSpark in literal seconds. So instead of having to go through, pull all of that information down from different portals, from emails, maybe even a hand copy that you've gotten hand put on your desk, you can take a photo, upload a screenshot, add in the PDF directly, and all of those different values, cutoff timelines, ports of loading, ports of discharge, the amount of containers, the types of containers, things that you're spending a decent amount of time uploading, all just get added automatically. Let's go to the next slide, please. This is maybe part of the quarter that I'm actually most excited about. I think the agents are pretty cool, but something that I'm really excited to see us bring into one place is anything that people are managing in spreadsheets, different softwares, pen and paper, anywhere else that you are trying to figure out how to manage different parts of your business are being integrated into ReSpark. So looking down the list here, the general ledger, export logistics, like I'd mentioned before, additional functionality with brokerage, incredibly complex freight across a variety of transportation methods, and tolling. So a little bit about what each of these is going to bring to the table. The general ledger, I'm not going to spend too much time on, essentially just, making sure that instead of a second system that you're talking to or something that lives entirely out of ReSpark, your GL is going to capture every single transaction that happens in lockstep. Anything you do in ReSpark automatically posts to your general ledger. We'll spend a little bit more time on that later on in the webinar. Export logistics, bookings, containers, cutoffs, export documentation. This again ties into both the agent and the custom document engine as being something that supports the functionality, but bookings in general are just so much easier now to track directly in ReSpark. You have container management, everything ties to your sales orders. You can attach things to appointment calendars, all the way down to the documents that you need to send along with your carriers. I'm going to skip to complex freight right now because I think it ties in quite nicely. As some of you may be familiar with, when you're exporting, freight gets incredibly complicated. You have multimodal moves. You're trying to manage a variety of different carriers, going from a truck, perhaps even to rail, all the way down to the barge. And you have to figure out how to track all of that in one system, as well as how to, if you're interested in burdening your cost of goods sold or managing your sales margin with that freight cost, having all of those tracked outside of the system doesn't easily allow you to do that. So one of the things that we're working on partially has come out and partially more to come is on how to track every single type of freight in the system and have that pull through on a contract, pull through on a customer, pull through just directly on a ticket properly. It includes things like dead freight charges, demurrage, detention, any other fees that you could possibly get charged by a carrier, whether or not you want to charge those to your end consumer or to a supplier. Anything that you are currently managing in a spreadsheet, whether it's, dividing freight costs for multiple customer locations, all of that is coming to the system if it's not already partially there. And I'm really excited for how freight in addition to exports, are going to work together to simplify pretty much everybody's process. The next piece going back up to brokerage, some of you may be familiar with brokerage already existing within the system. We just have some enhancements that we're going to be putting out to make it fully baked into ReSpark. So again, margin visibility, those third-party logistics, anything that you're doing with carriers gets a lot easier with some of the freight enhancements that we're doing. And then that document engine will also support any type of documentation that you want to send to the parties that you're brokering loads with, whether it's a blind load or something else that you're doing. It'll be fully supported in the system. The last piece here is tolling. So on the tolling front, this will basically allow you to track all and process, take it through inventory, material that you don't own. So you're processing on behalf of somebody else, able to support you tracking who sold it to you or who shipped it to you, where you have to ship it at the end, whether that's back to the yard it came from or to an end consumer, what you're owed for the work, how you're going to charge for the work, how you're going to track, which lot has followed for which customer. All of that currently right now is tracked outside of the system. It's going to be brought into ReSpark to make it so that you don't have to do the same thing in more than one spot.
Great. Thanks, Court. We'll touch on a couple of these themes throughout the demo. But before we get there, I want to talk a little bit more about the kind of overall AI strategy and the four agents that are in production before we dive into the overall demo. So to walk through kind of the agentic suite, maybe to set the table for just a second, let's walk through kind of how we think about AI generally speaking at ReSpark, and then how it manifests itself in the overall platform. So, not going to walk through everything on this page, but ultimately, we're trying to turn the left hand side of the page into the right. Right? Instead of having to hunt for information, click through a platform, or have the human being in your operation be the kind of orchestration layer for your yard, we want to solve these problems through action clarity, right? Having agents actually draft and execute the work so that you guys can make decisions as a part of your workflow rather than just enter data, and have an element of continuous and immediate execution given a lot of these workflows are maybe not 24/7, but pretty close in an industry like this. How we think about this is really a three-step process. So this is the framework we always apply to our different agents, whether it's our commercial operations, dispatch, or finance agent. We try to collect the information upfront, right? Wherever we can integrate with another system, whether it's email or voice or any other system that you use in the yard, we want to connect to that to collect the information we need to kick off whatever process we want the agent to run with. Number two is information processing, right? If you guys have ever used, ChatGPT or Claude or something like that, this is turning unstructured data like a PDF or an email or a call transcript into structured data. Number three is this decision execution, i.e., what happens next. That might be, suggesting updates to buy prices through our commercial agent, suggesting outreach steps to customers you haven't seen in a while, or allocating a dispatch trip to a specific driver. So again, the four agents in production that we'll walk through are our dispatch, operations, commercial buyer, and our finance agent. Along the way is the inventory and exports agent that Courtney mentioned. Rather than walking through the business impacts and the specific workflow here, let's do it on a kind of one by one basis. So the first one that we'll walk through is our dispatcher agent. This links into your email inbox, pulls in all of those emails, parses the email or a call transcript into a dispatch trip, and then allocates it to a driver, leaving you just having to approve, modify, or reject the dispatch trip that's created. The operations agent comprises a couple different things. One is going to be pending loads analysis. So if you have shipments coming in from another supplier and want to reconcile their weights against yours, you can do that. Or what is most impactful is our anomaly viewer, where we're using Vision AI to identify the material from overhead cameras that is hardware agnostic, right? You don't need to buy any new hardware, and actually compare the grading that your operator's done relative to what our Vision AI is saying to spot any anomalies or discrepancies right at the scale. Number three is our commercial agent. This includes both market pricing analysis and analysis of all the price sheets that you get, in addition to our commercial intelligence center, which will give you intel on no-shows, any suppliers that have increased volumes over the last couple weeks, and effectively how to help your buyers dictate outreach to high-value accounts. And then our finance agent. This centers around settlement reconciliation. So instead of having to change manually a bunch of consumer weights and then apply payment, all you need to do is upload the consumer settlement, and our system will do that reconciliation for you. So instead of walking through each of these on a page, let's flip over to the ReSpark platform. You should see ReSpark Demo 1 over in the top left. We won't walk through everything on the left-hand side, but we'll actually start with our dispatch agent. Before we get there, you can see these notifications up top. It looks like I'm all caught up, but in settings, as Courtney mentioned, we can not only set up notification definitions and policies for who gets notified, but also, as Court mentioned, actually customize different documents here as well, which we'll walk through in due course. To stay on track with our dispatch agent, you'll find it right under the logistics side. You'll see right here that my email is already connected. This is connected to our dispatch email. You're going to see all of these emails come in right here. You'll see, hey, we need a 20-yard delivered to our international office, and so on and so forth. So this is hitting your inbox, going directly into ReSpark, and getting transcribed down below. So instead of having to enter customer location, trip type, and so on and so forth, you're left with three decisions, right? You can approve, you can modify, or you can reject this dispatch trip suggestion, assuming that it comes in over email. You can simply approve, or you can also approve and confirm. What this does is not only create that dispatch trip, it'll also create a confirmation email down below, which will generate a suggested reply. You can also always edit it directly, right? So maybe we don't want this to be all caps. And you can send that directly to your supplier, confirming the dispatch trip has been created right from ReSpark. So this will still send you, this will still send this through your email outbox, right? So you'll still have a consolidated email, but rather than going back and forth between multiple different systems and entering in a bunch of different data, you have all this information at your fingertips, and you get to decide what happens next versus having to enter all of that data. As the dispatch trip gets processed through the mobile driver app and comes back into the scale, we'll go ahead and create a new ticket right here. We will use our scale view for something like this. Go ahead and click our dispatch ticket. We'll see which ones are in progress. Let's say it's a pickup from Boom LLC. We'll select this and link the trip. Given this is a fully integrated logistics and scale platform, you'll see all this information autofill down below. As Courtney mentioned with dynamic freight updates, you'll see that this freight cost gets automatically added right here. We'll come back to pending loads in just a second. But let's say we have Ferris. I'll pick HMS unprepared right here. We can take the weight. You'll see that we're hooked up to a number of our different cameras. We'll take the weight again, click done, and we'll save this ticket. Now, without going too deep into every single workflow, what I do want to focus on is the automated image capture. Because as you can see here, we have photos directly on this ticket. That's where our anomaly viewer comes into play. On our anomaly viewer, as you can see, you'll see a number of different photos specifically from our floor scale right here with a bunch of information down below. You can zoom in on each of these photos to take a look at what the exact material is from the overhead cameras. Again, this is all using the installed infrastructure and hardware you already have. No additional hardware is required so long as you have an overhead camera. You'll then see a number of different pieces of information down below. You'll see the material name that this was graded as, in addition to the customer and the operator. You'll see the weight down below as well. And then you'll see what we call what Sparky sees, right? This Sparky, which is our kind of AI agent right here, we'll also talk about this in the context of commercial intelligence. Sparky's not only seeing scale interference, right? It looks like someone's foot is on the scale right over here. It's also seeing a material discrepancy. The operator called this number one copper chops. Sparky sees that this is another material right here. Same thing over here. This looks like stainless steel 304, but we have scale interference. And finally over here, copper number one doesn't take that powerful of AI to see that that's not copper number one. But it can grade a number of different differences here. You'll see down below again, simple options, right? Not a lot of data entry. We want you to be able to make decisions on what's happening within the yard versus spending time on just data entry. Here, we can confirm that anomaly. Yes, we see scale interference and the material information right here. Confirm the anomaly again. As you continue to confirm these anomalies, you can then pivot over to our watch list. What the watch list does is surface patterns throughout what's happening in the anomaly viewer. You can see these patterns grouped by operator, grouped by customer, in this case, a supplier, and the number of infractions, right? So instead of having to, spot check tickets and make sure the grading is accurate for an hour a day or even like an hour a week, the anomaly viewer will not only surface those discrepancies, but also surface the patterns once you confirm those anomalies so you can understand what's going on and whether or not it's an operator or a customer problem right here, or someone just needs more help with grading accuracy. So that's the cornerstone of our operations agent right here. We have a number of different features like pending loads analysis, as I mentioned before. But in the interest of time, we will keep moving. On the commercial side, you're going to see a number of different kind of features. On the commercial side, I'd say one of our earliest and one of our most used is our contract upload. So instead of having to, again, get a PO, let's say, from your consumer over email and have to enter in all this information, you can simply drag and drop a contract directly into ReSpark. You can add additional directions as needed and process this with AI. What you'll see here is all of these different items upload. So you'll see consumer name, the location, the materials, etc. You'll always see the reference material on the left on the right hand side as well. So you can always, again, based on your kind of like overall adoption journey with AI, you'll always have the opportunity to trust but verify the information that we're actually analyzing to make sure that you can sign off on this. The last thing I'd say here is materials are never called the exact same thing, right? And the way we solve for this is one, different material mappings on a per customer basis. The model will also learn from the overrides that you actually make. So if we change these materials right here, or we change the descriptions or something like that, so let's change this to painted MLC. Our agents will learn over time that you're making those changes and then update their defaults to remember your last selection in addition to the agent's analysis. So this positive feedback loop is really beneficial and actually means that these agents get better over time with more usage. Cool. In addition to kind of contract upload, you'll also see with our commercial agent Sparky right here, you'll see a number of different elements of our commercial intelligence platform. Now, you can always ask Sparky, standard questions, right? You can ask, uh, who are my top 10 suppliers by volume last month. You can upload files, and Sparky will continue working and query against all of your different data to give you exact responses. It'll also prompt you for updated information down below. That's great. It's still a proactive process, right? You still need to come up with the prompts. You still need to interact with Sparky to get the information that you need, which is why we have developed our commercial intelligence center. This will actually have pre-baked workflows and prompts that will surface information to you based on what buyers care most about, right? Which of my largest suppliers have no-showed recently? What account should I reactivate? How big is my concentration risk? Do I have any unhealthy relationships? Each of these contain pre-built workflows. So instead of having to prompt every single time, you click one button. With this accounts to reactivate path, this will show you all of your accounts that, or I think the top 15 accounts maybe, that are some of your biggest suppliers that either have had volumes decrease over time, whether it's over the last, 1, 3, or 6 months, or folks that haven't showed up in, whatever parameter you decide, like 14, 21, 28 days. So instead of just relying on standard or even custom reporting or having to fist fight with this stuff during, through spreadsheets, you'll actually see Sparky work in the background, find all of these accounts to reactivate, and pull this information for you. What you can do from here is see the last visit, the 6-month value, how to re-engage, right? Maybe you offer faster payouts or container availability, and we'll surface the main point of contact at that account. You'll also see suggestions down below, right? This will give you suggested openers over a call or email scripts if you ask for all of these down below. Like, can you draft an email for them? And we're not smart enough or naive enough to think that we can control your customer relationships and how you deal with your top suppliers. But the idea is to give you some starting point, right? Rather than just give you the information and leave it to you to figure out what to do. We want to not only surface this information through AI, but also give you a path to re-engage with some of those top suppliers. You'll see a number of different elements of commercial intelligence here, like concentration risk, unhealthy relationships, reactivated accounts. But in the interest of time, we'll move to the last piece, obviously our finance agent as well. You'll see right here our settlement reconciliation screen. But let's actually start new. And again, you can access this from whatever locations you need to as well. You'll see a number of different reconciliations that we've already had set up in the system. But to start fresh, you can go ahead and upload a settlement. So I'll just grab a consumer settlement that I've received from one of my consumers. You can either drag and drop, and it looks just like this, or you can simply choose a file. Go ahead and grab that. We can upload. While this is pending, what this does is match these consumer settlements across a number of different dimensions. It might be invoice number, bill of lading number, customer name, material name, and so on and so forth. We know that you get inconsistent information back from your consumers. So we wanted to build for flexibility to make sure that we could match on as many things as possible. As you'll see right here, the settlement that we uploaded is matched on two different invoices with three different line items. What you're going to see here is the following. You're going to see the weights and the prices on your outbound ticket and invoice, and then you're going to see the customer's weights and prices, right? As you can see down below, all of these are effectively exact matches. And then what we can do with these exact matches is either accept them on a line item by line item basis, or we can approve all of them. We go to the second invoice right here. You'll see the same thing. We have matches. Or again, if this were different, these numbers would simply be overwritten based on what's in the settlement. And if there are any differences, our finance agent will actually surface a lot of these variances up to specific thresholds and actually update the consumer weights in ReSpark so that you don't need to manually update all those consumer weights to make sure that your AR and cash receipts are moving in lockstep with what your consumer is sending to you. So we'll go ahead and approve and accept all of those. Once that's done, we'll commit those changes. And again, instead of having to update things line by line, our settlement reconciliation process is done in about 30 seconds. So again, a lot more that we've been working on, but I think that's probably a logical place to pause before we flip back to the general ledger build out. And hopefully this is a helpful walkthrough of the agents we're building and some that are on the come. Or I'll kick it to you for the general ledger build out. I'm happy to share my screen now.
Cool. All right. So, like we alluded to a little bit before, we do have a very thorough, in-depth webinar that we're happy to send along to anybody. So I'm going to go through this at a little bit of a high level. So the idea behind the integrated general ledger is that you're no longer managing two systems, whether that's something that you're managing on your own, something that, has a different integration. The whole idea is that whatever you're doing in ReSpark is actually what's happening in your general ledger at the same time. So I'm sure people are familiar, there's mistakes that happen. You void a ticket, you have to update pricing on a ticket, a material gets updated and its grade changes, anything like that. Maybe a customer, is set up a specific way in ReSpark and your accounting software doesn't support customers being consumers and suppliers. Or closing the month end means you have to go through and close your month out in ReSpark, make sure everything looks correct, make sure it's pushed over to your accounting software, and then go over to your accounting software and close everything. So lots of different steps that you're having to take to make sure that these two systems that effectively manage the exact same data are doing the same thing. So with the general ledger, we are recording every single entry in accounting language based off of how it's coming through on the ReSpark side. Everything has a place where it belongs. All of your codes for your general ledger and your chart of accounts live anywhere that you would expect them to. Material properties both share general ledger codes as well as material codes. Everything else, is categorized exactly the way that you want it to. And then the last piece here is, we're not just creating a model for whatever's happening on the scrap side or the trade side. Anything else non-trade is also available for you to be tracking in the general ledger, whether that includes rent, utilities, payroll, or just, a regular non-trade invoice. Next slide, please. Yeah, so here's a little bit more detail. Like I mentioned, everything's posting automatically. You're having any entry that happens in your inbound ticket. If you post that, if you make a change, you'll see the reversal. We can walk through that shortly. Um, all of your financial statements are going to be something that we can walk through as well. Everything's in the same section. And then different elements of the platform that we actually covered at the beginning here are just added bonuses when you're talking about the general ledger. So, settlement reconciliation, like Gordon just walked through, is an incredibly tedious process. And if you like to, get your invoices over to your accounting software before they've settled, you're actually doing double work. In this case, you wouldn't have to. And the settlement agent is taking care of the data entry for you. We're layering approvals onto the general ledger as well, making sure that all of the things that are, going over when tickets are ready to be paid is something that you will see reflected with those approval processes, making sure that's pushing over to the general ledger when you want it to, not by accident. And then all of this is in real time. So there's no downtime, there's no waiting for two systems to sync up. The second that you do something in ReSpark is the second that you see it reflected. Next slide, please. Yeah, okay, let's switch. I'm happy to share my screen now. We can walk through this more specifically. All right. So if we come down to our general ledger, at the bottom here, let this load for just a second, you will see the chart of accounts. And so this is the first area where you can see right away everything is moving in lockstep with what you have in ReSpark. Our default checking account, default cash drawer number two, default ATM account, all of these different accounts that people have created to pay tickets out are reflected directly here. If I make an edit to one of these, it also edits when somebody's going to select that account to pay out a ticket. We have inventory, and inventory can be classified to whatever degree you would like it to be. We can keep that at a high level of ferrous and non-ferrous inventory. We can get down to a commodity type, or we could even get, or a commodity, or we could even get down to the material should you desire to track that. And then everything else here should look pretty familiar to anybody who is used to managing their books. All of these sequence numbers are customizable. The labels, everything that you see here, other than our system accounts, which are just required to successfully manage a general ledger, are completely customizable to your specific setup. So if we move into our journal entries next, I'm just going to walk through a couple of these that have posted. You can see that there is a lot, but this is a really great example of any action that you take in ReSpark gets shown automatically and immediately in the journal entry section. So here we have a credit memo that was applied to a ticket. You can see that journal entry for that $2 credit memo application. We have outbound ticket shipments hitting our COGS and our inventory. And then somebody maybe unshipped something and you can see that it was reversing. We have non-trade accounts in here. And let me see if I can find an inventory action. All right, I guess not. Nobody's been changing anything here. Well, we'll go through and we'll do one together now. So if I regrade a material, and we'll take copper 2 and make it copper number 1. We'll actually find something that has whip here, 900 of that. And we'll just confirm this real quick. Can now go back down to our journal entry, fresh. And the regrade will post in the journal entries. sake of time here, we'll keep going and talk about our bills and invoices and then jump into our financial statements. So, bills and invoices are incredibly similar to the way that you would create a bill or an invoice for a scrap purchase or sale in the system, except this is a circumstance where you are using, where you're processing a bill or an invoice for a non-scrap customer. So, if we do a bill, we can pay our utility bill this way, throw in cash account. It was $900 this month. And then the nice part about these is that you can either save this as a draft or post it directly. So if I save it as a draft, that's where those approval workflows can come into play, and somebody else who has the right authority can go through and post this journal entry. Once you do that, you are able to print, email, and pay any of these other items here. And the printing and emailing function use the same functionality that you're used to when emailing anything out of the system. Exact mirror image is the case for invoices. So we won't walk through one of those right now. And then our financial statements here. So we have our trial balance showing that everything is currently balanced. We can create an income statement for a specific period of time, and then our balance sheet as well. There is definitely a lot more that we could walk through with the general ledger now, but we can pause here, and if anyone's interested in more information, we have some cohorts starting to go live with our single location operations, and then we are opening our wait list for what is that, September.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Court. So again, if that's interesting, obviously reach out to anyone on the ReSpark team. We have a couple points of contact that we will walk through as well. But in the interest of time, let's talk about next steps. So again, if there's anyone that wants to go deeper on anything that you saw today, if you're already on the consolidated ReSpark platform, reach out to your customer success manager if you either have questions on what you saw or you want access to some of these features. For others on the prior Rematter platform, if you'd like to take advantage to some of these features and some of the workflows that we're continuing to innovate on, you have two kind of main points of contact. That's going to be Kent Holland and Anna Spearman, and you obviously have the entire team here at ReSpark behind you to talk about how to take advantage of these features throughout throughout the transition to the consolidated ReSpark platform. So to kind of recap, lots going on, right? Lots of different agents today in production, already adding value to a number of our customers who are using them. Brand new modules like the general ledger to help kind of consolidate your overall tech stack, and a lot more on the way. So with that, let's open it up to a little bit of Q&A. We have a few already here that I could start ticking down the list. First one, asking about the updates and changes that are expected to be rolled out. So, question is, one of these updates and changes expected to be rolled out? Will it be phased for different features and/or for different customers? Answer is, for all new features and specifically for our agents, we run typically like early access programs. So you'll see different early access programs or beta programs that you can fully enroll for. Everything that we showed you today is already in production, and you already saw that we have a September wait list getting formed starting August 1st for our general ledger capabilities. So all of this is live and in production for folks who want to take access, for folks who want to take advantage of these features that may not have them yet. Definitely reach out to, again, either your customer success manager or for folks on the Rematter platform and Nana right here. We will send all this out in an email after as well. Cool. Next question. Will the general ledger update only work with QuickBooks, or does it work with other programs like Sage Intacct? So to be clear, we have a fully direct and automated integration on the consolidated ReSpark platform with QuickBooks, in addition to Sage Intacct. But the intention and really the goal behind the general ledger is to ensure that you can move off of that system. So we will never go away from supporting integrations with third-party ERPs, right? That's what a lot of our customers are on. But candidly, there's been a big demand signal to consolidate that technology stack to make sure that you can live in one place. So the general ledger is actually intended to replace QuickBooks and Sage Intacct for others. Cool. Next question is about cost, right? Obviously, agents in general, based on the compute capacity and the actual usage, will be an additional cost. I would absolutely recommend you reach out to your main point of contact here at the business, typically either your CSM or Kent Nana right here, to get the latest and figure out what agents would make the most sense for you. Next question: will the document generator allow us to customize our receipts for customers, both thermal and full size? Short answer is yes. Court, happy to let you expand on that as well.
Yeah, I think the short answer might just cover it. It's yes, it's meant to be incredibly useful for you, whatever printer you have, whatever size paper you want, and whatever you want to be on that document, it'll be able to be there.
Great. Next question: how much? Yeah, more or less, how long has this stuff been in production? It's obviously a sliding scale throughout a lot of our agents. We released our kind of first agent back in January. I think maybe, yeah, our first early access program was about January. So our longest lived agents, like our dispatch agent and our operations agent, uh, has about 6 months of data behind it. We're continuously training and retraining a lot of those models to make sure that we have the latest and greatest analytics around them. We followed with our commercial agent about 2 to 3 months ago, and our finance agent is just emerging from our early access program. So, while they're not as, let's say, maybe battle tested as the 12 plus years of production history of the combined business, we have a ton of usage, and we are continuing to learn more from our customers. Cool. Next question. Yeah. For folks on the Rematter platform, question is around switching to the other platform with Sparky, or whether or not they will be kind of merged, and who to talk to. The answer is definitely to talk to Kent or Anna, which will be your kind of primary migration reps throughout this overall process. To be clear, platform's not going anywhere, but to the extent you want to take advantage of a lot of this innovation, that will all be happening on the consolidated ReSpark platform. There's no perfect time to do it, and a lot of folks are very excited to take advantage of this, which means I think we have a couple spots left for this month in terms of transitioning over, but it's filling up relatively quickly. But yeah, if you want to take advantage of what we walked through today, would definitely suggest getting in contact with them. Cool. We'll hang on for maybe a minute or more to see if anyone else has questions. Again, feel free to throw it either in the chat or the Q&A. I know Zoom might not be the most friendly webinar platform. Cool. Court, any final thoughts?
No, exciting stuff.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you a ton for everyone in attendance today. Again, this will be sent out to everyone who registered and who attended with a recording of the webinar, in addition to some of these materials. Again, if you want to take advantage of what you see here, obviously, again, reach out to your either CSM or Kent Nana if you are interested in a migration from your current setup to the consolidated ReSpark platform. And if you have any questions specifically on the integrated general ledger, just shoot us a note and we'll make sure to pass along that webinar as well. But thanks again so much again for the time, and look forward to hopefully chatting soon.